Hi y'all, I'm Frankie, coming to you with 12 of this week's best-selling nonfiction books and what people are saying about them. Number 1. How to Be an Anti-Racist by IBRAM x KENDI. This is a primer for creating a more just and equitable society through identifying and opposing racism. Kirkus Reviews says that it is not an easy read, but an essential one, with Publishers Weekly describing it as powerful and thoughtful. At number 2, we have White Fragility by DiAngelo, which is a cultural analysis of what causes defensive moves by white people and how this inhibits cross-racial dialogue. Publishers Weekly called this book impressive in its scope and complexity. But seriously, folks, this book is not worth your time if you're looking for something to read to help you better understand the current Black Lives Matter protests. There are mountains of other books out there that provide much deeper insight into what's going on, some of which are further down this bestseller list. So take your pick. In my opinion, White Fragility is not the book to read in this moment. And I'm going to leave some critiques of this book linked down in the description below. Number 3, The Room Where It Happened, in which former National Security Advisor John Bolton gives his account of the 17 months he spent working for President Trump. Publishers Weekly described this as a self-serving account in which the book's most serious allegations are buried in an avalanche of details. Our fourth book is So You Want to Talk About Race by IJEOMA, which looks at the contemporary racial landscape of the United States. Kirkus Reviews calls it a feisty, clear, and candid contribution to an essential conversation, and Publishers Weekly describes it as insightful and trenchant, but not preachy. At number 5, we have Me and White Supremacy by LAYLA F. SAAD, which is an exploration of ways to understand and possibly counteract white privilege. Kirkus Reviews calls it a bracing, highly useful activist program for confronting white privilege and dismantling white supremacy. Number 6, Between the World and Me by Ta-NEHISI Coates. This is a meditation on race in America, framed as a letter to the author's teenage son. Kirkus Reviews calls it moving, eloquent, and potent, and Publishers Weekly adds that it is an immense, multifaceted work that will be hailed as a classic, giving it a starred review. Number 7, Untamed, in which activist and public speaker GLENNON DOYLE describes her journey of listening to her inner voice. Kirkus Reviews describes it as lucid and inspiring, and Publishers Weekly says it is an endearing testament to female empowerment that is full of hopeful messages. At number 8, we have Alexander Hamilton by CHERNOW. This is a biography of the first Treasury Secretary, whose story is the basis of the Tony Award-winning Broadway musical by the same name. Kirkus Reviews and Publishers Weekly both gave this starred reviews. Kirkus calls it literate and full of engaging historical asides, and by far the best of the many lives of Hamilton now in print, whereas Publishers Weekly says this is a fine work that captures Hamilton's life with judiciousness and verve. Number 9, Stamped from the Beginning, which is a history of racist thoughts and practices in the United States. Kirkus Reviews calls it an ambitious, magisterial book, adding that the narrative may be best read as an extended, sophisticated, and sometimes justifiably angry essay. Number 10, Too Much and Never Enough, How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Man by Mary L. Trump. This is a tell-all memoir from Donald Trump's niece about the family's dynamics. Publishers Weekly says that Mary L. Trump delivers a concise and damning account of her family's dysfunctions and their role in shaping her uncle's toxic blend of cruelty, incompetence, and vainglory. Kirkus gave it a starred review, calling it a deeply satisfying read. Number 11, Separated: Inside an American Tragedy, in which NBC News correspondent Jacob Soborov examines the Trump administration's systematic separation of migrant families at the US-Mexico border and the living conditions of the children in custody. Kirkus Reviews describes it as a book of justifiably righteous indignation at a monstrous program, while Publishers Weekly calls it a harrowing and deeply informed debut. And finally, taking the number 12 spot, The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. This book examines how the government caused residential segregation through racial zoning and other systemic practices. Publishers Weekly called it comprehensive and engrossing, and Kirkus Reviews describes it as an informed, important exposé, while calling for the inclusion of more individual case histories in the book.